10 Incredible Facts About Australia. Documentary script for narrator Liam. The Red Heart of Australia. Aerial view. Sunrise. 4.4 billion years old. More deadly species than anywhere on Earth. A culture 65,000 years unbroken. An underground ocean. A desert sitting on top of a glacier. And a reef the size of Italy, built entirely by living creatures. This is Australia. And most people who think they know it know almost nothing about it. Hey, I'm Liam. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are counting down 10 facts about Australia that will completely change how you see this continent. If you are new here, subscribe right now, because this is exactly what we do here every week. Let us start the countdown. Number 10. Pilbara Ancient Rock Formations, Western Australia, Aerial. Fact number 10. The rocks here are older than life itself. The Jack Hills of Western Australia contain zircon crystals that are 4.4 billion years old. The Earth itself is only 4.5 billion years old. These crystals formed within 100 million years of the planet's birth, before any ocean, before any atmosphere, before any living thing existed anywhere. The Pilbara region looks almost like Mars, red, eroded, ancient beyond imagination. And here, in these rocks, scientists found something even more extraordinary. Fossils of the first living organisms on Earth. Stromatolites, 3.5 billion years old. Tiny microbes that spent billions of years pumping oxygen into the atmosphere. Their descendants are still alive today in Shark Bay, Western Australia. The same biological process still running 3.5 billion years later. Australia is not just old. Australia is the original. Fact 9. Artesian bore flowing in the Outback, steam rising. Fact number 9. There is a hidden ocean under the desert. The Australian interior is one of the driest places on Earth, but directly beneath that scorching red surface lies one of the largest bodies of water on the planet. The Great Artesian Basin covers 1.7 million square kilometers, roughly 22% of the entire continent. The water in the deepest parts of this basin fell as rain 2 million years ago. It has been moving through underground sandstone ever since, incredibly slowly, building enormous pressure. In places, if you drill down far enough, that 2 million-year-old rain pushes itself to the surface on its own. No pump needed. Hot, mineral-rich, ancient water rising through rock. This is what made human life in the Outback possible at all. Cattle stations the size of European countries survive here because of this buried ocean. 2 million years ago, the rain fell. Today, it is still arriving. Fact 8. Great Barrier Reef aerial view. Turquoise water over coral. Sunrise. Fact number 8. The largest structure ever built by living organisms. The Great Barrier Reef stretches 2,300 kilometers along Australia's northeast coast. It covers 344,000 square kilometers of ocean, larger than Italy, visible from space with the naked eye, and every single millimeter of it is alive. Coral looks like colorful rock. What it actually is, the accumulated limestone skeletons of billions of tiny animals, with living colonies actively growing on top right now. Each coral polyp farms microscopic algae inside its own tissue, which produces up to 90% of the reef's energy through photosynthesis. The reef is a solar-powered city. 1,500 species of fish, 4,000 species of mollusks, 6 of the world's 7 sea turtle species, all of it built by creatures smaller than your fingernail, one skeleton at a time, over thousands of years. Life, given enough time, builds worlds. Ancient Aboriginal rock art in Kakadu, ochre paintings on red sandstone. Fact number 7. The oldest living culture on Earth. 65,000 years. That is how long Aboriginal Australians have been the custodians of this continent. When the pharaohs were building the first pyramids, Aboriginal Australians had already been here for 50,000 years before that. In the rock shelters of Kakadu National Park, paintings on the walls are at least 20,000 years old. The culture that made them, The stories, the laws, the ecological knowledge encoded in those images has never broken. It is still living, still practiced, still taught today. Aboriginal fire management, the practice of systematic, low-intensity burning to maintain ecosystems and prevent catastrophic wildfire, is now recognized by modern ecologists as one of the most sophisticated landscape management systems ever developed. Tens of thousands of years of observation encoded in ceremony and story, with no instruments, no written records. And it works better than anything we invented. Fact 6. Inland taipan snake coiled on red desert rock, afternoon light. Fact number 6. Australia invented death. 21 of the 25 most venomous snake species on Earth live here. The inland taipan carries enough venom in one bite to kill 250 adult humans. That is 50 times more toxic than a king cobra. In the ocean, the box jellyfish can stop a human heart in 2 to 5 minutes. The Irukandju jellyfish is the size of your thumbnail and produces a syndrome so painful that patients in hospital have begged doctors to let them die. The blue-ringed octopus is the size of a golf ball. It carries enough venom to kill 26 people. There is no antidote. It lives in the rock pools where children play. The Sydney funnel-web spider can punch its fangs through a fingernail. Before antivenom was developed in 1980, its bites were frequently fatal within hours. And then there is the platypus, which is venomous too, because of course it is. This is Australia. What do you think? Could you live here? Write it in the comments right now. Fact 5. Aerial view of remote Australian cattle station. Red earth, complete isolation. Fact number 5. One farm bigger than Belgium. Anna Creek Station in South Australia covers 23,000 square kilometers. That is bigger than Israel, bigger than Wales. It runs approximately 10,000 head of cattle across land so sparse and dry that the ratio works out to roughly 1 cow per 2.5 square kilometers. The station has its own internal aircraft network because driving the distances would take days. Cattle are mustered by helicopter, and when rare rains finally fall in this landscape, something extraordinary happens. Lake Eyre, normally a blinding white salt flat, fills with water. Within weeks, a dead plain 200 kilometers wide becomes a shallow sea. Hundreds of thousands of pelicans arrive to breed on islands that appeared from nowhere. Fish hatch from eggs that have been lying dormant in dry mud for years, waiting. Then the water evaporates, the salt returns, and the land waits again, patient, enormous, silent, for the next flood, which may not come for another decade. Fact 4. Milky Way over Australian Outback, dark nebula emu visible in the galactic band. Fact number 4. They mapped the sky through darkness, not through stars. Every civilization on Earth looked at the night sky and drew pictures by connecting bright stars with imaginary lines. The Greek constellations, the Chinese constellations, the Babylonian system. Aboriginal Australians did something completely different. They looked at the dark patches in the Milky Way. The irregular black shapes where interstellar dust blocks the galaxy's light. And in those shapes, they found animals. The emu in the sky. Its head is the Coal Sack Nebula near the Southern Cross. Its body is formed by successive dark regions of the Milky Way. When the emu constellation appears in a specific position on the horizon, it corresponds precisely to the time of year when emus are nesting and their eggs are available on the ground. The constellation is not a picture. It is a calendar. Ecological data encoded in the sky, accurate to the week, transmitted for tens of thousands of years without interruption. Western science did not recognize this concept until the late 20th century. Platypus swimming in clear Australian creek, detailed fur and bill visible. Fact number 3. Animals that should not exist. The platypus is a warm-blooded mammal that lays eggs, hunts using electrical fields it detects through its bill, and has a venomous spur on its ankle. When the first specimen arrived in Britain, scientists assumed it was a hoax and looked for stitching where the bill joined the head. The wombat produces cubic feces, the only animal on Earth to do so, specifically so its droppings can be stacked on rocks and logs to mark territory without rolling off. Evolution invented structural geometry to solve a scent marking problem. The female kangaroo can carry 3 offspring in different stages of development simultaneously. 1 in the pouch, 1 nursing, 1 embryo in suspended development, waiting in the uterus. She can pause the development of the waiting embryo during drought and restart it when rain returns. The echidna lays a single leathery egg directly into a pouch on its own body and incubates it there. 80 million years of isolation produced a continent where the rulebook for what an animal can be was thrown out completely. Fact 2. Coober Pedy mining town aerial view. Hundreds of spoil heaps. Fact number 2. A town where people live underground. Coober Pedy in South Australia produces 95% of the world's precious opals. It also regularly reaches 50 degrees Celsius on the surface. So most of the 3,000 people who live here simply moved underground. Abandoned mine shafts carved into the soft sandstone maintain a constant temperature of 23 degrees Celsius year-round, regardless of the inferno above. Today, Coober Pedy has underground homes, an underground church, underground hotels, an underground bar, and underground shops. Normal rooms, normal furniture, no windows, and perfect natural air conditioning. The opal fields beneath this town formed when silica-rich water moved through ancient seabed rock and evaporated, leaving behind microscopically arranged spheres of silica that diffract light into every color of the spectrum simultaneously. The play of color in a fine opal is physics. Light interference from a perfectly regular grid of spheres, each one smaller than a wavelength of light. The difference between $1 million gem and worthless sandstone can be a single centimeter. Fact 1. Satellite view of Australian continental shelf, submerged platform visible as light blue. Fact number 1. Australia is far bigger than the map shows. The map shows 7.7 million square kilometers of land. But Australia's exclusive economic zone, the ocean territory it controls, adds another 8 million square kilometers of ocean. The continent controls more ocean than land. And 20,000 years ago, during the last ice age, sea levels were 120 meters lower than today. The entire continental shelf was dry land. Aboriginal Australians lived there. They hunted on those plains, built their relationships with country there, gave those places names. Then the ice melted. The sea rose. Those lands drowned. It happened slowly, over thousands of years, but it happened within human memory. And the oral traditions of Aboriginal coastal communities contain descriptions of a time when the sea was much further away, when the coastal plains were broad. Oral memories of a geological event that happened between 7,000 and 18,000 years ago. The world's oldest continuous oral tradition, carrying the memory of a landscape that no longer exists. And right now, before I wrap up, which of these 10 facts surprised you most? Write it in the comments. I read every single one. Australian continent from low orbit at golden hour, red interior, blue ocean. We started with rocks 4.4 billion years old. We end with the memory of a drowned coastline, carried forward in story for 18,000 years. The oldest continent, the longest culture, the most lethal wildlife, the hidden ocean, the living reef, the dark sky maps, the animals that broke every rule, the underground city, the land under the sea that people still remember. This is Australia, and we have barely scratched the surface. If this video gave you even one fact you did not know before, like it, share it, and drop a comment telling me which one hit hardest. New videos every week. I am Liam. See you in the next one.